Yeah.
Special.
The Tuesday, February 3rd meeting of the Monmouth City Council and ask our city recorder Phyllis Bowman for the roll call, please.
Councillor Beltz?
Here.
Councillor Carey?
Here.
Councillor Lopez?
Present.
Councillor McKeel?
Here.
Councillor Oberst?
Here.
Councillor Ridgway?
Here.
Mayor Coontz?
I am present, although as you can all see, I don't sound like myself. If I break into a giant coughing fit, I have to excuse myself for a few minutes. I hope you understand. And if I'm interrupting too much, I may excuse myself for the evening. But at this moment, we will continue, and I'm going to ask Councillor Beltz to lead us in the flag salute, if those of you who are able to stand can join us. Thank you. Our first item of business is the consent calendar. That was our last meeting, which was the meeting of January 20th. I would entertain any additions, corrections, or a motion to approve.
Move approval. A second.
Thank you, Councillor Oberst, for the motion and Councillor Carey for the second. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Yes. Sorry, Councillor Lopez.
Madam Mayor, I couldn't help but notice that we have a number of motions passing with the vote count being 3-0. I do understand that under our governance structure, I believe that we had a quorum of 4 and that the 3-0 vote still does allow these motions to pass, but I just would like to have absolute clarification for that moving forward. I'm on a couple other boards that operate under a different minimum guideline for a number of votes cast.
Yeah, I think that's proper under the city charter and city code.
Great, thank you. I have no further concerns.
Good. Thank you for bringing that up. We were a little light last time, but we did move all items forward. All right, at this time, we have, oh, yes, all in favor of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you for that. And Phyllis, please put those in the record. At this time, we do have time reserved for public comment for things not on our agenda. And each of these comments is limited to 3 minutes. Councillor Carey will be operating this clock. As I call your name, if you want to come forward, use the microphone. And keep an eye on that because it'll beep when your time is up. And our first speaker this evening is Brian Sparks. And again, a reminder, pushing the button when the red light comes on, it means the microphone is working. And please be close so that the recording captures it.
Good evening, Brian Sparks, 790 College Street, Monmouth. Didn't think I'd be up here again talking about this issue as quickly as I am. I provided you some written documentation. My apologies to Phyllis for not having it to you sooner. But this UGB process is a complicated animal. I have in front of me a document that you and the City Planning Commission went over on March 1 of 2023. And I want to read an excerpt from that from your consultants at that meeting. It said, while permitted, UGB swaps require compliance with a number of requirements applied to other UGB amendments or expansions, including the following. Location of expansion areas, the location of the land to be added to replace the land being removed. First use OAR 660-024-065 to determine the appropriate study area. For a city with a UG population of less than 10,000, the city must consider all land within a half mile of the existing UGB boundary. For cities over 11,000, it's 1 mile. In the document that I provided you and the copy of the email that I sent to Paul Evans, we have not done that. And because y'all started the legislative process last November, these rules and others that are in the Land Conservation Development Commission area for administrative rules relative to UGB changes applied at that time. You crafted that proposal, you then had a work session on 12/16 and went ahead then, and those are the pieces that have gone on to the public hearing. So we've got 2 sets of rules. One we didn't comply with because we thought the newer ones would come into effect on 1/1. So we've got kind of a mess right now, and I'm again suggesting that you pull the current administrative amendment process and restart that. So we were doing it under 1 set of rules, and we don't have another basis for appeal. Thank you much for your time tonight. I hope the information is explanatory.
Thank you, Brian. And our next comment would be from Royal Johnson. And it looks like Brian left the microphone on, Royal, so you don't even have to press the button.
My name is Royal Johnson, 283 Atwater Street North here in Monmouth. I come down to pay my utility bill today. What I didn't understand, which I've heard from before from the council, was when you put that admission on their tax, I call it a tax, you can call it whatever you want, utility fee, for the police, you said we didn't have to pay it. But then when I asked today, do we have to pay it? And they said, well, if you don't pay it, then we'll disconnect you. So what are you disconnected? It's not a utility for the water. It's not a utility for the sewer. It's not a utility for the electric. So if I don't pay it, then what are you disconnecting? That's pretty simple. I mean, the way it's explained. So I got that. And the other thing was that the way it's set up, I don't know why you didn't go to a public safety levy like the county does, which people can vote on, and it can be a 5 or 7 year levy. That was my 2 points I brought up. I think it's very hard on some people for this $10.25 or 50 cents. And I've had a lot of people tell me about it. But then when they turn around and find out about it and ask questions, one thing I find out is they can disconnect us. What are you disconnecting for? I mean, is that a utility electric? No, it isn't, because it doesn't have anything to do with electric. Is it utility water? You're going to come and disconnect us because we didn't pay it? I think you need to really bring that out and explain it to people, because I heard it right here on this council, and I looked at the minutes, and it was said that, no, we didn't have to pay it if we had hard times. So explain it when you get a chance. I'll just leave that sitting there, but it's a pretty wide open thing, and it's a tax, not a utility. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
And just one moment, you didn't put how you wanted us to respond. If you want staff to respond, would you like them to reach out?
I got to put these back.
Would you like staff to respond by email or phone if they have information for you? You didn't indicate that.
Oh, email would be fine, but I think there's a pretty broad area there that was explained that's not really followed up. And I'd just like to know what you're going to disconnect if I don't pay it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll have them get back to you. Thanks, Rel. And if you could press the center button on the microphone, that would be full. Thank you, sir. All right. That's all that was submitted in person. Phyllis, do we have anyone online to submit public comment?
We do not, Mayor Coons.
All right, thank you. Our next item this evening then just to let you know, we are doing changing up our agenda a little bit this evening, and that is partially because we do have an executive session at the end of our council meeting tonight. So before we conduct our work session, we will adjourn to the Urban Renewal Agency meeting and then come back for our work sessions. So at this time, however, we'll go ahead with our business agenda. We move that to the front and invite Rochelle and perhaps David Carr to come up and talk to us about a new franchise agreement.
Mayor and members of the council, tonight we are presenting a proposed franchise agreement with WinRAC for a standalone network for the sole benefit of Central School District. This agreement is a negotiated contract that grants the provider the right to utilize our public right-of-way. Tonight we have Jennifer Kubista, the superintendent, and I believe Matthew Shirley, their IT guru, for Central School District. And I'm going to turn it over to them so they can explain the project to you. We also have David Carr here this evening, our city engineer. So if there are any technical questions, he can field those as well.
Good evening, Mayor, Monmouth City Council. We are here to talk about our infrastructure and the support that we need from you to move this project forward. So during the 24-25 school year, Central School District applied for an E-rate Category 1 grant. This federal grant program provides significant discounts on crucial telecommunications, internet access, and special construction services for network builds. E-rate grants are funded by the FCC to bridge the digital divide, making technology affordable for all students regardless of the district's wealth by calculating discounts based on poverty level and location, as an example, in rural communities. An RFP process took place last year and WANRAC received the bid. They have extensive experience in telecommunication industry with a history of successful completion of large and complex fiber optic construction projects for school districts.
This project allows Central School District to acquire a brand new private fiber network for the district. This private fiber network is 100% dedicated to the district, and only students and staff will be on our network. It carries only our data and applications used within the district. With no other customers on the network, it is both more secure and more reliable than traditional carriers. It also gives us flexibility if our bandwidth needs to increase, so will the speed of our wide area network.
The E-rate Category 1 grant was approved by the state and covers 90% of our costs. Plus, the district receives a 5% matching grant from the state of Oregon for the project. So it's pretty close to being almost, we have 5% of the cost to pay, which is not a lot. That's why we're excited about this grant. The goal of this grant is to ensure Central School District can offer robust digital learning opportunities. So the days of books, yes, we still use them, but computers and technology is really how we students learn and grow within many districts across not only our state but the country. Part of the project involves the permitting, which is part of the reason we are here. The district, in conjunction with WANRAC, has a project plan for the implementation. And again, this has to be done this year. Part of our partnership with WANRAC involves their permitting team working with each entity, such as the City of Monmouth, to procure agreements and all permits. This includes, but are not limited to, utility pole agreements, franchise agreements, which is why we are in front of you today, railroad crossing permits, city council state permit agreements, etc. And the reason, again, we're here tonight. We ask that the Monmouth City Council vote yes on the franchise agreement between the City of Monmouth and WANRAC. This will continue to allow the school district to modernize our infrastructure in support of our strategic plan goals of student growth and achievement, staff leadership, and continuous improvement, and obviously a community partner, which you would be for us to make this project complete. So thank you for your time this evening, and we're here to answer questions, although I'm not going to answer the technical questions. I have people that can do that.
Councillor McKeel.
This is a really exciting project.
Mm-hmm.
The only question that I had, with all the excitement, but the only question I had was why MyNet isn't doing this project for the school district.
So again, it goes out to an RFP process, and the only company that bid was WANRAC. Now, I want to be clear, we still will have a partnership with MyNet So that doesn't go away. Again, this is just the building of the infrastructure of the actual fiber line. There is still going to be partnership with MyNet as it comes to our overall Wi-Fi, or excuse me, internet service providers.
Well, they didn't want the job. I guess there's reasons there, so.
I would say this is quite a big job. I
Okay.
don't know that, and again, I don't want to speak for MyNet, but I think from an infrastructure perspective, WANRAC has done, I mean, again, when we went over the RFP, they have done many school districts across the country, both in large and rural. That is what they do. They put in the infrastructure of that, and then school districts work with, again, providers, whether that be local or just in the areas, to be able to actually provide that internet service. So that partnership is not going to go away. I think there is some confusion about that,
Okay.
but we are still going to be in partnership with MyNet.
Great. I just have one more comment.
Sure.
Go Seahawks. Sorry, that's just.
Yeah, yes, I would not disagree with you.
Counselor Ridgway, then Counselor Carey.
Thank you. And kind of tagging on to the last question, so you said the partnership with MyNet would still continue.
Yes,
And what's being done through WANRAC is just the installation, just providing the infrastructure, but not being a service provider. Is that
correct.
okay?
Yeah, though, again, let's say we have again, the way and I'm gonna sort of get this technical. One of the things that the way the current structure is it's not like a loop. So if we have a school that goes down with an internet, it can cause other issues at other schools. This will allow us at one school, if we have an issue, we can loop things back around and just not have to disrupt so much of the other schools, which is some of the things we've run into, I'm going to say, over the last several years. Fair to say? Okay. I'm making sure I'm saying it correctly. So again, they're going to help us with the infrastructure of the actual fiber line. We have a break in that line, WANRAC will fix that, not MyNet. So that's where that partnership is in really the line itself. And then again, I call it where we plug in, where that line's going to plug into MyNet. That's where the service and agreements we will have with MyNet.
Okay, thank you. That
Yes.
answers my question.
Counselor Carey, then Counselor Lopez.
This is, the search for something more secure is a result of the breach that you had, what was that, last spring?
2 years, it's been 2 years.
Couple of years ago. Time
Yeah,
flies.
it's one of the things, again, I think we've been wanting to move in this direction. One of the things with the E-rate, we have to actually, we have to build that up over time. So again, this is a very expensive project, over $1 million project that we have, again, because of the E-rates and some of the things that we've been able to do. So yes and no, because we've been wanting to do this even before, or I have been wanting as a superintendent to be able to build our own infrastructure. But then obviously when we went through the network disruption, there were some things with the consultants that we had that helped us really push us to move on this sooner than, and then we finally had enough money in our E-rate to be able to move forward.
Okay, so, and then to be clear, this is a franchise agreement with WANRAC,
Correct.
not Central School District.
Correct.
Okay, so
We're
there's,
not a telecommunication company, so we can't own it. So that's, I think people get confused of, yes, we're in partnership, but really it's because of the way, and I'm going to make sure I'm saying this correctly. I'm going to look at you a little bit, right? Like, we can't do franchise agreements. You all have to do that with the telecommunication companies because we are not a telecommunication company.
yeah, I saw that. What caused the question to be asked was, sort of in the topic, it speaks, pretty clearly about for Central School District. And I just wanted to make sure I understood it, I think, but I wanted to make sure everybody understood this is with WANRAC and not with Central School District. The franchise fee is listed at 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same franchise rate that Spectrum and MyNet pay? It is, because I had in my mind it was 7%.
No, it's 5%. Some of the other cities are on there at 7%.
Okay, so we're,
And
we're still fine.
just to repeat that, David Carr, our city engineer, indicated yes. Everyone's nodding, but just get that on the record that yes, 5% is what those other companies pay the
And-
city for the right to be under our streets and under our on our
Sure.
light poles and things like that.
Sure, that's good. I had something a little different. And then there are, I believe, 2 schools in Monmouth and 3 schools or 4 maybe in Independence. I assume that any sort of franchise fee money that's collected would be proportionally fractioned out.
We have to do this process in both cities.
Yeah, okay. That's,
We are in the midst of that right now.
yeah. Good luck to you, and thanks for your information.
Yes, luckily none out in the county anymore. Councillor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Carey, for your fantastic questions. Our minds were quite aligned. I'm interested a little bit more in the franchise fee. So you as a school district do not own this. WANRAC does. It can also be transferred in the future if needed. What is the nature of a franchise fee that we would collect as a city long term? I guess I'm trying to understand the fiscal impacts of this agreement.
Again, that's set by you all. The franchise percentage is set by you all. Again, we have separate contracts with WANRAC that will, again, they're going to be charged, we'll be charged, right? Like that's how this agreement works. So really that is established from you all. We don't establish that amount, and I'm going to look at City Manager Rochelle to make sure I'm not saying that incorrectly.
So if I may, when in the past when we've been presented with franchise fee records, we've also been presented with some kind of fee for service table that then we look at, like when Comcast comes in and renews their franchise fee. And so I'm just curious, are we going to collect anything on this? Maybe this is a better question for Rochelle.
The franchise fee would be based on the gross revenue. And so that's going to have to be calculated. They'll submit a report to us. When the other companies come in, they're already paying franchise fees everywhere. So they have a database that they can then provide to you to show you kind of what that's going to look like. This is a very unique situation. And since the school district doesn't own the equipment, then we're required to do the franchise fee because it is in the public right of way. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. So do you not know what you're going to be paying to use this system?
We do.
Okay. But we just aren't saying so tonight.
We can get that information to you. If that's a request, we can definitely get that to you.
I'm curious. It's just information that's usually been presented. I understand that, this is a little bit of a unique situation. It's not going to hold my vote up tonight, but I would be interested to know the fiscal impacts long term.
We will make sure that we get that to you.
Thank you.
So we will be doing the second reading and hopeful adoption at the next meeting. And so by that time, we can get that information and I can provide it for you at the next meeting.
Yes.
Just quickly, one of the other things that would be good to know about that is what's the impact on the community going to be? Some's going to be underground, some going to be above on the poles. And juxtaposed to the amount of revenue that may come in. It's a good idea. It's something I'm going to support, but I would be curious about because the only revenue that you're going to get, WANRAC's going to get, is what the district pays. There are no other customers beyond that, as I understand it.
Correct.
So it's not going to be a heck of a lot of money, I'm guessing, at 5%.
Yeah, can I add to that? I think one of the things, remember, everybody's on MyNet. So everybody's on MyNet. We're on MyNet. It's all part of that. This will completely take our students and staff. Yes, we still plug into MyNet, but we are all just now on our own line. So you're talking, we have a total of, counting students, I'm going to say right now our enrollment's 2936. So I'm going to say anywhere from 2950 to up to 3200 is as large as our school district has been since I've been here, plus adding in another 3,600 staff. So you're talking 3,000 to 3,500, 3,600 total. That's it. That will be on those lines. So it's a little bit different than the two cities, which make up a lot more than that. I'll just say that.
I think just if I can clarify too, WENRAC will get the $1 million for the installation. So the initial installation is paid for by the E-rate grant, is my
Correct.
understanding.
Correct.
That's correct. And as far as impact on the city, I think our city engineer has some information about that if he can join you at the table.
So these lines, as far as what is within the city of, David Carr, city engineer from Monmouth. They are running from Talmadge Middle School on the west side of 16th north, where they will pick up Ash Creek and the offices. It's going past that, but that's in Polk County right away with their permit. The other portion to serve MES is breaking off of the overhead poles at the S-curves by the skate park. It'll be underground over, and it'll all be underground from that point to the school district property. So it'll go across the parking lot, up the west side of the parking lot, and then through the park. The original plan was to run it down Alberta Avenue, and their power and MyNet is already all underground in there. So it was suggested by the city to get that over and run it. We have a storm line in there. We're not going to be impacting the parks or anything like that, but get that out of the right of way. And it'd be a much cleaner installation for the school district, and it should save them quite a bit of money versus running that line through a neighborhood.
And the impact would be minimal. It strikes me. I mean, we've got wires on poles everywhere, but we're only going in a couple locations.
Correct.
And one of which is underground and the other of which runs along 16th. So I think as we look at this, it's not going to be a big impact. I mean, it's going to be a big impact for the school district, but not in terms of the livability of the city of Monmouth.
No, absolutely not. And that was one of the things, especially going through MRP Park, is getting that underground, because we just spent a lot of money in a project last year to underground everything in that area. So that was one thing we pushed forward. It would increase their costs a little bit versus being able to just hang on aerial installation, but minimal impact to the city. There shouldn't even be traffic control plans for routing people around during construction or anything like that. It should be really minimal.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Absolutely.
All right, if there are no further questions, then we do have a proposed motion to have a first reading of our ordinance number 1421, an ordinance granting to WENRAC LLC a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a fiber optic system within the city for provision of services to the Central School District.
I move first reading of ordinance 1421, an ordinance granted to WANRAC LLC a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a fiber optic system within the city for provision of services to the Central School District 13J.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Lopez, for the motion. I'll give Councillor McKeel a second. I'll ask Phyllis for a roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. And then this will come back for a second reading and adoption, and we'll have that, those calculations from the school district about potential revenue on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your time this evening.
We have one more brief business agenda item, which is the DPA power sales contract. And our Power and Light Director, Wade Carey.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring this before you tonight. So back in 2008 was the last time City of Monmouth signed a new Bonneville Power Administration Power Purchase Agreement. Back then it was called the TRM, stood for Tiered Rate Methodology. This iteration is the provider of choice. So for some reason, Bonneville has to name their power sales agreements based upon the process that it took to get to the point where utilities were ready to sign. Excuse me. The process that it took to get this agreement was pretty monumental. It took over 3 years. It took hundreds of hours of meetings with all the utility stakeholders, as well as many of the non-governmental organizations within the region, lobby groups, environmental groups, fish and wildlife groups, industry people, end users, pretty much everybody. Power of choice simply is because Bonneville is changing how the utility chooses to buy their power. We all fall into a couple different buckets, the utilities. Monmouth is considered a full requirements customer, meaning that we purchase all of our power from them. We don't go out on the market. We don't have generation of our own that we're wheeling or selling on the market. We're just here to buy what we need from them. And historically, they've just given us what we wanted, whatever we needed. Over time, Bonneville used to assume a lot of risk for those customers who were full requirements, meaning if we had a massive population explosion or industry explosion, Bonneville was still required to provide us whatever it was we needed. Even if they didn't have it, then they had to go out and buy it. They provided it to us, even if it was a financial loss to them. So the tiered rate methodology back in the early 2000s started to shift that risk to utilities because Bonneville was put in a really poor financial situation in those cases. The provider of choice deals with some of that even more because back in the early 2000s, when they set the contract high water mark that set tier 1 power, almost all of us were many, many years away from hitting our contract high water mark. Well, here we are, decade and a half later, and that situation has changed. They're also changing how they deal with what's called a slice block customer. For those utilities that have generation, Bonneville was also involved in the collecting and selling of that power for some of them not. It was very convoluted and very complex for those customers. And at times put the full requirements customers kind of second fiddle in line. The provider of choice has fixed a lot of that. So we don't have some of the problems that could have been created by those slice customers. So for us down here at the full requirements, we were very happy with the outcome. The provider of choice contract also set an agreed upon capacity of the federal hydro system, as well as with their wind contracts and their nuclear contract and whatnot. And that really is what took a long time to come up with, was how big the system was. Because how big the system is determined by how much tier 1 we get. Some of the larger utilities were pushing for a situation where the smaller utilities were really at a disadvantage. So one of the groups that we belong to, Northwest Requirements Utilities, NRU, who represents 50-ish utilities that are all for requirements, they lobbied very hard to get favorable terms in this contract. If you guys had a chance to look at the contract, it's 60-something pages before you even get to the appendices. That was for say, Rob. The last contract we signed in 2008 was 18 pages. So you can see that the world we live in is quite different. There's even things in this contract that are open-ended that we have to make decisions on in the future. That's not an ideal situation, but it's the world that we live in. And we've been from Bonneville for a long time. There's legislative rules that are there that protect us from a lot of things. And even if some of the terms of this contract were to change and be less favorable, Bonneville's still always going to be our best option, right? Monmouth Power and Light's not going to ever look to leave Bonneville. If we chose not to sign this contract and we said, we're going to go it alone, we then at that point lose our preference and we could not be guaranteed to go back and get it again. So we are kind of in a spot where they've been good to work with in the past. They're the lowest cost option for us. Always have been, probably always will be. So now we received our contract back in late-ish September. And we started looking at, how are we going to get this signed? Who has to sign it and all that? And in that process of researching, we discovered that the city manager signed it last time. And we're like, great, city manager can sign it. We didn't see a resolution granting that permission back in 2008. And while we're going over the signature process, and I'm filling in Rochelle on how to get all this stuff that I've kind of shared with you, there was also a situation where the current administration in Washington, D.C. started floating the idea that some of the Bonneville capacity could be used for data centers, which is an awfully frightening idea for us and many of the other 130-ish customers that Bonneville has. So while I won't say who got word around that these needed to be signed expeditiously to protect, because once they're executed, that's it. And we had to execute them by the end of the calendar year. It was strongly suggested that we all sign our contracts as quickly as possible to lock in our piece of the pie before that hit, before they siphoned off 50% of Bonneville's capacity to use for something other than the Northwest Power customers. So we did not see the resolution last time where we came and asked for the city manager to be granted. So I'm a firm believer in ask for permission and not for forgiveness, but tonight I'm before you asking for forgiveness because Rochelle has already signed the contract. It was signed on October 15th and it was sent back to Bonneville and fully executed by Bonneville on the 18th. So that's where we're at today. And I'm here to strongly ask for your approval to grant our city manager the authority to sign said power of provider of choice Bonneville Power Sales Agreement, even though it's already been done.
All right, taking a big risk with all the moms up here, but we will go forth with questions, and I'll start with Councilor Obers.
I'll just, for purposes of this discussion, move to approve Resolution 2022, a resolution granting Monmouth City Manager authorization to sign BPA's Provider of Choice Power Sales Agreement.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Oberst, for the motion, and Councilor McKeel for the second. Any additional questions, or Councilor Lopez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned that there weren't any reasonable alternatives to purchasing from Bonneville. I take it that we've researched any alternatives that may exist, and the disparity between the rate and terms that we get from Bonneville versus those other spaces is pretty, that gap's pretty big. Is that correct? Could you speak a little bit to what life would look like if we were not purchasing from Bonneville?
To give you an idea, we are paying about 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour right now from Bonneville for our Tier 1 product. Tier 2, which is open market purchases, is in the neighborhood of 6.5 cents. So I couldn't tell you what we could go find on the open market, but we're an 18 megawatt utility. We don't bring anything to the table to purchase from a large scale generator. So we would be out in the market with other utilities who had better buying power, trying to get the best price we could be. And at best, our rates would double.
Good enough for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Ridgway and then Councilor McKeel.
Thank you. So based on what is currently available, there's not really any viable option to look elsewhere for our power supply, to satisfy the needs that we have as a city. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the Power Act in the 84 really set our preference to the Bonneville low-cost power. So,
Okay. And so this agreement is 18 years, if my math is right. It's a pretty significant length of time. If in the meantime, sometime 10 years from now, a new provider shows up on the scene, and now we have this. Well, hindsight's 2020. You can't go back and redo a contract. But is there any ability to have a shorter term contract in the event that something does appear on the horizon 10, 12 years down the road?
I can't remember the exact language that allows us to leave this agreement. Bonneville, in 24 years that I've been doing this, there have been only a couple utilities that annually I can remember chose to walk away from the BPA contract, and those were always utilities that had a large generation source of their own. And it was usually because the market was such that they felt, hey, we've got generation. If we leave our BPA contract, we can now go sell this on. We can make thousands of dollars. They always come back. So while there could be something in the future, in 24 years, I've never seen anything like that happen. And it's really because the power that we get is from the legacy federal hydro system. That primarily those projects are paid for. I mean, BPA still has their loan that they have to make every year to the Treasury and all of that kind of stuff. But there's nothing else in the nation that is like what we have here from Bonneville. Even the other federal marketing agencies like TVA can't offer power as low cost as Bonneville does, and it's because of the hydro. Now, that's not to say that some SMR, small modular nuclear company comes in and says, hey, we want to put one right down here down the highway. If you let us build it in your city limits, we'll give you power for 50 years. Yep, we could get out of our BPA contract, but that would take, if we leave, there's no guarantee we could come back. And the utilities that did it in the past that I referenced, they all did this stuff 20 years ago when Bonneville still had a lot of power. If we were to pull our little 18 megawatts out, that's tier one power that gets dispersed to the rest of the utilities. They're not going to advocate for us to be able to come back and get it back. So it would be a fight if we ever left and wanted to come back, because the other utilities would be fighting over our power. So that's not a complete answer, but
right. And we certainly can't predict the future. I'm not asking you to, but I'm just trying to look at the possible ramifications 10 years down the road if we're locked into something that and something else comparable or better comes along. We're still going to be in a tough spot to decide which is the best option long term.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rochelle had a piece of information. Councilor McKeel, if you can hold up, and we'll get her input first.
I was just going to ask Wade, can you talk about the nature of the energy that we receive from Bonneville and how clean it is?
Yeah, at worst, it's 95% carbon free. And really the 5% comes from the fact that they can't guarantee that there will never be any carbon, because managing the grid is very complex, and there are times when they have to fire up some generation to meet demands. One of the biggest problems is whenever we need a lot of power, the renewable side that's feeding the system isn't doing anything. It's usually at night or in the winter, and the solar panels they're decorative. And the wind turbine doesn't spin when it gets really, really cold. Or when the wind blows really, really fast, they shut them down to protect them, because they're not made to handle things over like 40 miles an hour anyway. So yeah, they always have to have something that is dispatchable, instant, turn it on, meet the peak, and then when the peak goes away, they can shut it down. And that's where that 5% comes from.
Councilor McKeel.
I actually think my question has been answered, because my question was, we talked about having our own solar system, and how that would affect that. But it sounds, I think you answered the question, and also with the solar system, the responsibility that we have of having a carbon neutral power system. So I think you answered that as well. And I just want to say thank you for acting so quickly to protect our power source here in Monmouth. So nice job.
Thank you.
Counselor Carey.
Really, the questions I have are moot now because it's been determined or been decided. But I do have one, and that is what was the nature of this decision? Because to me, our deal with Bonneville has been a good one for as long as we've had it. We've heard you talk about that, since you've been here and previous managers as well. But why are we just now hearing about this? October 15th, that's 3.5 months ago that this was signed. It's not a controversial decision, it doesn't seem to me. I spent a lot of time reading that, and it's like talking in tongues when I look at the contract. That was wasted time.
The reason I'm here today is that we did not discover that there was a resolution done last time until last month. And then we just needed to find time to get it on the agenda. We got the contract and I reviewed it. I sent it to Justin for his review. And we went through that process of doing our due diligence of looking, and, I was involved in some of the process before coming here with the provider of choice. So I knew what we were getting. But as soon as we discovered the fact that there had been a resolution last time, that's when we said, get it on the calendar. And that's why we're here today. So.
But the resolution had nothing to do with the signed contract other than following past procedures.
Correct. It was only to grant the city manager the authorization to sign it. We did not know that resolution existed last time. We just found the contract that showed that the city manager had signed it. And so that's why we had Rochelle sign it.
Yeah. And apologies for that. We went through the history to find it and we didn't find the resolution. And so that's where we went. Now I know, and I apologize, that in the future, I will definitely make sure and run it by the attorney and normally I bring everything to you, but in this situation, we were told it didn't have to go to council and that it hadn't been done that way in the past. So I will make sure in the future that it always comes to you, and I apologize.
Yeah. I started looking around because I went to a meeting in Portland, like I'm going to go to for the next 2 days, tomorrow and Thursday. And I was talking to my counterparts and they're, about that rush. And they were like, oh yeah, we have to hurry up and get it. We got to get it to our council. And I'm like, well, our city manager just signed it. And they're like, wow, we've never heard of that. And I went, uh-oh. I mean, because we know that our city manager has got quite a bit of authority to sign contracts and whatnot, like some cities and other utilities, it's a very low threshold. Not the case here. So we didn't think anything of it. But once I learned that every single person I talked to said, oh, we had to take it to our board, or I went, oh no. So then I started digging and found the resolution.
All right. There is a suggested motion in the packet. Oh, it's been made and seconded. Sorry, these were your questions. Thank you all. As you can see, I need my team here to keep me going. So I will have Phyllis take the roll call, please, on the motion to approve resolution 2022.
Counselor Lopez.
Aye.
Counselor Beltz.
Aye.
Counselor Oberst.
Aye.
Counselor McKeel.
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Counselor Carey.
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. And thank you, Rochelle, for that. And thank you, Justin, for going through the 100 and whatever pages to review it, 90 pages. All right. That brings us to a work session item, and we'll do this before we adjourn and go to our Urban Renewal Agency, even though I've messed everything up. Tonight, we have some visitors for our work session, and that is a report on a program that we were able to bring to our community. And our staff on this is Sergeant Mike Strack, and he will introduce our guests and hear about a great program.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm Sergeant Mike Strack, and I'm here to introduce our speakers. Annie Buse, she's with Polk County Family Community Outreach, and we also have Jody Merritt, who is the Director of the Polk County Community Corrections and also on the chair of the Polk County Local Addiction and Drug Policy Commission. And beginning in winter of 2025, members of this committee, the LADPC, began planning an event to educate our community and local professionals about our current drug trends and identifiers. Through this process, the group identified Officer Jermaine Galloway, also known as Tall Cop Says Stop, as a nationally recognized and respected speaker to lead this initiative. With generous funding from the City of Monmouth and Polk County Family Community Outreach, we were able to host Officer Galloway for a community scan, public event, and a dedicated training session for Polk County professionals. Annie's here today to discuss the findings and insights gained from this event.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Annie Buse. As you heard, I work for Polk County's Family Community Outreach, and I'm also a member of our LADPC group. So I wanted to provide a few little bits of an overview of the Tall Cop event, talk about the insights and the data and all of the pieces and our takeaways from that event. So we were lucky enough to have Jermaine join us for 2 days on October 15th and October 16th. And this was a 2-day event for both our community and our professionals. So on October 15th, we hosted Jermaine at the Gate Youth Association, and he spoke for an hour and talked about the emerging trends to our community. Our community showed up. We had 49 members there, and we also had 3 booths of different resources that were there as well. So they could not only see the different booths with resources, but then they also had the opportunity to be educated on these different trends and the substances that our youth are taking part these days. Some of our community members included parents, our teachers, our health administrators, prevention coordinators, but youth were not allowed to attend because of the topic that was being addressed. We also had translation services for those who spoke Spanish, and also had the opportunity for anybody else who maybe was hard of hearing, needed sign language, but really the Spanish speaking was what was needed. So we had a translator join us for that night. Then on October 16th, that was when we had our all-day event at Western Oregon University, and this was specifically for professionals. This event was held at Western, and we had kind of like a first opportunity for Polk County and City of Monmouth folks to be able to register first. That was really important to us, that we had dedicated funds for this big speaker, so we want to make sure our professionals had the first choice. If we had any seats left over, then we wanted to be able to open it up to anybody in our local area or even throughout the state that wanted to take part, because this was so important and the information that was shared was going to be important, and we wanted anybody to have that. So in total, we had 173 professionals join us, and the room was packed. We had a whole variety of different professionals. So think medical examiners to lawyers to caseworkers, behavioral health therapists and counselors, public health professionals. Like, if you think of the professionals, they were probably there. There's so many, and it was so great to have them. But really, to the whole reason for this was we wanted to make sure that we brought this educational opportunity for folks to learn about it, but then bring it back to the work and the organization that they're in. It's kind of like a drop in the ocean, right? Like you have you throw a rock and it provides ripples, and then once more people are aware, they can provide those preventative efforts in their community. That makes sense, right? So here in the city of Monmouth, the work that we do is going to be a little bit different than what happens in Salem. That's going to be different than what happens in Madras. So that's really important. We give them the tools, and then they can work with it. additionally to this, we also wanted to provide resources. So again, with our community event, we had those resourcing tables. We also had at the professionals some resources available. And there's just a whole room of experts there too. So it was a great opportunity for professionals to be able to learn from one another as well. So sorry, I want to make sure I get everything. With both of these events, we wanted to make sure that we also asked at the end, what one, was this helpful? Was having a national speaker here important to you, and was it helpful? And it was overwhelming yes. With all of the survey, they were like, this was incredible and we want more. They're hungry for more, which is good. It gives us more work to do. But then we also were talking about what do they, what is that? What are those next steps that you would like to see from our committee and even from our local organizations, and how can we support them? So we asked those pieces. What we learned with our community was continued education with substances. So just continuing efforts to provide that information. We also heard a high insight to talk with, like, how do you have conversations with our youth that are age appropriate and that can make a difference in their life. And then additionally too is just continued resources. How do you make referrals? What does that look like? All of those pieces. For professionals, this is similar. Continued education, right? We're just hungry for more. But what was interesting was they also brought up youth technology and internet safety. They also talked about some of those co-occurring connections, which included mental health and juvenile justice, gambling and video gaming and technology addiction, which is another big one. And then they also brought in the topic of we want more statistics and data too. So our next steps as a commission, based on these surveys, is to provide these opportunities and partner with those local organizations. Some of those, highlighted partner groups that we want to make sure we target is the youth, is our parents and our caregivers, and our professionals as well. So what that looks like is working maybe with Liberty House. They have an I Respect and Protect program that has a lot of internet safety and connections that can provide our local area with those resources. We also have, actually back in November, we FCO partnered with OHU School of Nursing and some of our LADPC members to provide a Narcan training. Talk about a little bit about opioid training and how do you use Narcan effectively, and had the opportunity to try it out on a mannequin, which is great. So we had Polk County FCO, Polk County Behavioral Health Resource Network, and our Polk County, our Polk Fire that supported us. And we plan to provide another one in April, which will be amazing. With the technology and internet safety, that was one that we highlighted, and we wanted to be able to connect with Liberty House with that. So we have things in the work that we're really excited about, but we wanted to be able to provide this update to know, hey, this is what we started with, and now this is what we're working towards to continue this education that both our community and our professionals would like to hear from. So we just wanted to say thank you for support and the continued efforts that we're looking to provide both our community and our professionals for the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I have my team up here too that we can help with as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. I was at a meeting recently where Commissioner Gordon mentioned how much the support of the City of Monmouth really helped in bringing that together, and our partnership continues to grow, and I think that was wonderful. I'm also just going to throw in a plug for teen internet safety and things. Have Dana Goodale connect with the school district, because the school district's insurance company has trainings and things that maybe we can partner some on those. So that's just on my personal brain, possible another resource for, yeah, she's nodding, I see her. So, all right, so another resource for that. Any other questions or comments for Annie and Judy?
Just a quick one. You use the analogy of throwing a stone in the pond and then the ripples go out. Are you measuring those ripples and where they're hitting? I'm curious how you're going to track success on that. I mean, I'm all for you and for it, but you know, we see a lot of these things that there's all these resources provided, but for whatever reason, they don't get to the target. So I'm curious how you're, what your plan is.
Right, right. So there's different ways that you can measure it, but one of the things when you think about prevention is that sometimes you don't see it until 5 or 10 years down the road. Yes, you might see some of those immediate impacts, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time with prevention efforts. And so some of the impacts though that we can see immediately is we can do your pre and post survey for knowledge. That's what we did actually with the Narcan training. So we have some of that specific data, but when you think like long-term preventative efforts, it can take some time. And that's something for me that I'm like, I wish I knew like right now, what is that impact? But it can take time. Jody or Sergeant Shock, you want to?
I would just say that I'm really support. She's doing a great job. Good evening, everyone. Jody Merritt. I am the director of Polk County Community Corrections and the chair of the Local Alcohol Drug Policy Commission. And then to answer your question, I mean, this information is in society is a moving target. And so I think that what we've done here with your assistance has provided us an opportunity to not only bring in information and identify that is ever changing, but it's provided that motivation, that collaboration, and those partnerships that we were able to do in that setting in order to continue these conversations and raise up what's happening right now, how can we address that, further educate with our providers and resources that were there, and try and direct those services. That really kind of puts it back on us to have great relationships, to communicate, to get the information into the schools. My juvenile probation officers are coming into the schools to help provide that, their connection with behavioral health, their connection with FCO and the various services that are available. There's a great deal of resources available. And yes, it's hard. We don't all know what they are, but I bet you we know somebody who does. And so those partnerships and that collaboration is really what has allowed us to further support our work. And your partnership has been immense to this work because it is a moving target. Those ripples will fade out and new ones will come. And so we just have to chase it.
And I'll just add real quick. So like metrics wise numbers, we might not have a whole lot to give on that, but some of the little ripples that we have are like even just the police department themselves. So we've heard about this training for a long time, at least I have. And we've always been trying to get someone to it because we've always heard good things about it. And so when they brought it here, we were really excited because we were able to send 9 of our 16 sworn people to this training. And the little ripples is a lot of the officers that went there, we learned about drugs we never knew were drugs and the addictive capabilities of those and the fact that they are here in town at the markets and everything else. And it gives us the ability to be able to see that when we're on scene dealing with youth and being able to recognize those things. And then we can pass those things along to, the juvenile department and get more early intervention going on with that. So with those, we won't see those benefits until 4, 5, 6 years down the road, but it just gives us the tools to be able to recognize that.
Other questions? Councilor Lopez and Councilor Ridgway.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you very much for bringing this training, this amazing resource into our community. I don't have a question so much as just really an encouragement to keep up the good work. I see a lot of levels of benefit aside from those tangible benefits of, the knowledge to our police force and the knowledge to the community. I think bringing community into spaces like this with, with a shared goal and some rich information, it builds the community fabric, right? These are the things that bring us together, and these are the things that, make our police department more approachable to youth. And, getting them together. I think about other nights like, or other events like, National Night Out, right? We're not often asking for, metrics on the success of National Night Out, where we're seeing the value for it as such. And I think that there's inherent value. I love any metrics that are available, of course, don't get me wrong. But I think there's inherent value in continuing to pursue these partnerships and bring resources to the community, because it brings people together that otherwise wouldn't be, and it brings information in that otherwise wouldn't. And so I just am so thankful for the partnership. I'm thankful that that partnership exists in city departments in so many different ways and with the community in so many different ways. If we were to just host it ourselves, the attendee list would look different, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's an expansive viewpoint. And so I would just encourage you to continue in this work and continue to count us as eager partners. Thank you.
Councillor Ridgway.
Thank you. I'm really impressed that there's so much organization that has gone into bringing in community partners, professionals from many different areas and under a common purpose. And the way that this is packaged as a preventative measure versus a reactive approach. By the time somebody ends up in Sergeant Strack's field of view, maybe it's already been too late, or in community corrections. So anything that can be done on the front end to help guide and direct somebody away from potential problems or behaviors, then I think it's amazing. And just the amount of work that you guys have put into it is maybe hard to measure right now, but I know that it's paying dividends, and we'll hopefully reap those rewards later. So thank you.
And that's from the professional up here who has a vast experience with our criminal justice system in the state, not as a recipient of the system. Sorry, Councilor Ridgway. Yes, as someone who has been involved with carrying out justice, we thank him, and it means a lot to hear him say that this kind of stuff counts. All right. One comment from Councillor Oberst.
I just wanted to say thanks for including in the electronic device problems that some youth are having. It's one thing to talk about street drugs and so on, and it's another thing to say that's a street drug anymore, and the impact that it has on kids. We're seeing a lot of schools around the country that are saying no cell phones during the school day. And I read one article where the kid said, I used to be able to study in the cafeteria during lunch, and I can't anymore because everybody's talking again, right? Everybody was in their devices, and now all of a sudden with the devices gone, they're back to interacting with each other. And thanks for putting that in there. That's an important piece.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Jody. Thanks. All right. Now I'm going to make this very confusing. We are going to pause, take a recess from the Monmouth City Council meeting so we can convene our Monmouth Urban Renewal Agency. And then we will return to the Monmouth City Council meeting. So when we do that, I'm going to ask Suzanne and Amy's indulgence if we want to take a 5-minute break here. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. And we will resume as the Monmouth Urban Renewal Agency.
and I think impactful for the property owners, the business owners that are the recipients of it. And, we did the assistance up on the corner. A couple of those are facade improvement grants have continued to be improved our look in the district. So, well, we don't have the big flashing ones. We got a lot of nice ones. So let's keep doing those nice ones until we get a big one. Thanks for the work.
Rochelle?
In looking at that, it's on page 11 of the report. At the top, the $1 million the $1,044,187, I believe what happened is that the FY 24-25 did not get changed to 25-26. This is all supposed to be for FY 25-26, so I think those just did not get updated. Yes.
Yes, Ms. Bell.
That's how I read it.
This is really great work, and I am very impressed with the information. Would you be able to work with Monmouth Business Association and come and do a very short presentation about this information and about what urban renewal money is available and how it might help some of our area businesses?
Yes. It's a great idea. Thank you. It was just a good reminder. We were there this morning, and it was nice that we kind of started the tradition of hearing all the wonderful things that the MBA is doing, but I think it's good to get that information back on what resources are available and what this district is doing. So I will coordinate, some people over there to get that on an agenda. Thanks for the suggestion.
All right. There is a motion. We do have to approve this report, and then they can forward it on to the other taxing districts.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I move to approve and forward the Monmouth Urban Renewal Agency financial report for fiscal year 2024-25 to the City Council of Monmouth and to other impacted taxing jurisdictions.
I'll second it then.
Friendly amendment to include correction of the typos that the city manager called out.
Consider the motion amended.
And I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lopez, for the amended motion, and Ms. McKeel for the amended second. And Phyllis, did you get that? For the record, great. Any additional questions or comments? All right. Then I will ask Phyllis for the roll call, please.
Ms. Coons?
Aye.
Mr. Ridgway?
Aye.
Mr. Oberst?
Yes.
Ms. McKeel?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Mr. Carey?
Aye.
Ms. Belts?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for the presentation. And unless anyone has any additional business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Urban Renewal Agency.
So moved.
And all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I hear none opposed. So I will adjourn the meeting of the Monmouth Urban Renewal Agency Board and reconvene the meeting of the Monmouth City Council. At this time, the City Council will go into executive session for the purpose of discussing performance evaluation of public officers and employees. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192-662I, performance evaluation of public officers and employees, which allows the council to meet in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back in the room for our final reports. It is anticipated that action will be taken this evening after returning from executive session, where it is possible. And again, we will be giving our general reports at that time. But at this time, we will invite our city attorney, Justin Thorpe, our city manager, Rochelle Anderson, to stay with us to conduct this evaluation. of our city manager. And I would like to make recommendation to the council regarding salary adjustment based on that. Just a minute, I'm just going to give this to our city attorney as well. I was able to obtain comparator salaries, some of which have not been adjusted for a while, but mostly are from 2025, and have provided that to the council. It has an average salary. It does show that we are quite a bit under that, and we are under other cities that roughly compare to us in a variety of ways. Our city manager's base salary as of December of 2024, when we last did a performance evaluation, was on the second page. You'll see in the first column, roughly $145,000 base pay. In addition to that, the contract allows for some deferred compensation, a car allowance, and we offer additional life insurance above what our other non-compensated employees get. So that was the base salary. We get the city manager automatically gets the cost of living adjustment that is offered to other non-represented employees. So that is shown in the middle column, July of 2025. That was increased by the 3% COLA to $149,345. Annual base pay only, but there are some additional, those same additional benefits. We actually budgeted for this entire fiscal year an additional salary, and that would bring the annual base salary only to $165,000. You can see, oh, I didn't pass that out. In Appendix 4 of our budget, which has our compensation plan for non-represented employees, and I'll show you that, it shows the city manager with a monthly amount that works out to that $165,000 annual salary. And you'll see, I also made a note that our interim prior to hiring Rochelle we were paying $166,000, and Marty Wine, the prior city manager, also ended there. So we got a bargain on Rochelle. I have negotiated with her to pay the salary that was budgeted, which you will see again is that base salary of $165,000. And then, because this was budgeted for the entire year, I'm going to also suggest that we make that retroactive. But we will have to have some kind of negotiation for the coming budget if we're going to offer something in addition to the COLA for the coming year as well. But that would be on the new base of $165,000 a year.
I would just comment that this is, given where we started, this is recognition of a job well done and we expect that to continue. This is budget friendly in that it doesn't push us beyond our meager resources that they are. And we'll be going into another budget year that I'm sure that we'll be looking at this salary along with others as we get into that. So given our constrained resources, I think this is a good one. I think that it's, and the retroactive pay is fine. So I'm in supportive of it. If you need a motion, I would move that.
Yes, please.
Okay, then I would move that we adjust the base salary for Rochelle Anderson, our city manager, to $165,000 as portrayed on the second page of this handout. Thank you. And that that rate of pay should be retroactive back to July 1 of 25.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Carey, for the motion, and Councillor McKeel for the second. Any additional questions or thoughts?
Just a question about this table. What is this far column here?
Yeah, total annual hours. I'm not even sure what that is. That was
a lot
weird.
That number doesn't make sense. That's okay. We'll just strike it.
It probably is city manager speak, because I don't know, there were some other things on there I didn't really know for sure, but they were. I should have cut that one off.
Okay.
Councillor Ridgway.
Just out of curiosity, as you were pulling the comps for other cities, are Monmouth City employees responsible for their own PERS contributions, or is that paid for by the city?
Our other employees, other than the city manager, the city pick up the 6%.
The city picks that up for the employees.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, good question, because I always look at that too. The ones that say no, remember, they are required to contribute their own 6% of their salary. So that pours it sweet home. All right. Seeing no other questions, Phyllis, could you do the roll call, please?
Councillor Belts,
Yes.
Councillor Carey,
Aye.
Councillor Lopez,
Aye.
Councillor McKeel,
Yes.
Councillor Oberst,
Yes.
Councillor Ridgway.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. That does take us to the reports section of our meeting. And I had taken a minute to run some interesting numbers for you, Councillor Lopez. Your question about assessed value and growth in property values for the city of Monmouth, I didn't do all of it, and this is what I could pull quickly. Just of interest, though, there is a report on the city county assessor's website, which we often quote in things, which is the list of top 10 taxpayers in the city of Monmouth. And interestingly, in 2015, the assessed value of the top 3 property taxpayers was $15,661,000, just the top 3. 10 years later, the top 3, their assessed value is $22,702,000. And in 2025, the number 3 was Ash Creek Station, which didn't exist in 2015. So anyway, just that's one little metric for you. There's lots of others. Good information on the county assessor's website. All right, that takes us to our reports. I will forego the mayor's report because we're running a little late, but I do have appointments to boards and commissions. We have had, we left 3 openings on our budget committee for 3 folks that were retiring off, hoping to recruit some new members. No additional applications have come in. Those 3 members did apply for reappointment. They are Rich Graham, Rich Graham, Tom Perry, and Randy Lowry. So I'm going to ask at this point, we go ahead and nominate them for reappointment. And I did not convene my usual interview process because we extended and extended. And now we're at the point where we need to have a budget meeting. So I would entertain a motion to appoint those 3.
Move appointing those 3.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And next year we'll have some more go off and it'll be our time. Yes, Jason.
Had an email from June 27th with an application, though very sparse, from Rich Graham. Just wanted to make sure that was noted, but I didn't see any others that had applied. It's
Yeah. Yes, thanks. We got them, yeah, 5 months ago, the 3. All right, that is what I have. Other reports of boards and commissions? Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had the Historic Commission meeting on Tuesday, January 27th. The Historic Commission wanted to announce they received a grant to purchase a display case that they plan to hold historical artifacts. And the grant is from America 250 Oregon Commission, and they receive funds from National Endowment for the Arts. And the items in the display case, the plan is that they'd be changed out throughout the year. The commission has also decided to apply for a grant with the Certified Local Government Historical Preservation Office to help develop a cultural resource plan for the city. And in May, you're going to be wanting to watch for dates coming out. They're planning for the Historic Preservation Month. And so far, the plan is to present the Monmouth History and Mystery booklet, and the stories that are in there, they'll have storytellers talk about the stories. And we will have the New Horizons Willamette Valley Orchestra play once again. So they don't have a secure date yet, but you'll just want to watch for that. The next meeting is Tuesday, February 24th at 6 p.m. right here in City Hall.
Cool, thanks. Other reports?
I missed the senior center because of the creepy cold that's been going around, and I have not gotten a report from the director. I'll fill you in next time. The next meeting will be on February 24th at 3 at the senior center.
Great, thanks. Councilor McKeel, do you want to turn your mic off? Go ahead, Councilor.
The planning commission meets tomorrow evening on a continuation of the hearing regarding the land swap that we've been getting some information about. So I think that will come to a resolution. I'm not sure what that'll be, but they'll come to a resolution tomorrow night. And I would expect a different level of participation. Brian Sparks was the only person to comment last time, and he has done that. He can't participate again because it's the same hearing, but others may. So we'll know more when that concludes.
Thanks. And have we confirmed this process of going through the hearing, bringing it to council, and Mr. Sparks' comments tonight, which I don't expect a legal opinion on yet? Because of the wording of the legislation, is this even required of us, Justin? Were you able to look at that?
It is what required of you. What are you asking?
Well, I was speaking with our county community and economic development director, who's written a lot of legislation. He said his interpretation of the legislation is we do not have to go through a normal land use hearing to approve the swap. We would go through a zoning process. That was his interpretation. He was surprised we were doing a public hearing process at the Planning Commission and at the council. That it was, and the decision is not eligible for review.
Mm-hmm.
I know the legislation says that. Am I correct? So, for example, Mr. Sparks keeps talking about if it's appealed. My understanding is the swap itself is not subject to review.
I think the swap itself is not. And with the materials he submitted tonight, I think it's kind of confusing the normal UGB process with the statutory swap. So does that answer your question?
Yes, I think that's important to hear that what he submitted to us tonight was he was talking about a process under old rules and a process under new rules. And I think neither of those apply to us because the legislation overrides that for us for this instance.
His argument is that, if I understand his argument, is that because staff started looking at things before January 1st, that would somehow attach some of the rules that would go to a UGB, not a UGB swap, but to a change to the UGB under the normal process outside of this statute. And I mean, I'm happy to give you an opinion on that if you're asking for that. I don't think that that's how the statute applies. The decisions, any decisions that are actually being made are being made after January 1st. The statute, the new statute is what applies. That's what it is.
So their discussions about it or their thoughts about it or they're preparing documents before January 1.
Because they're just staff documents. They're not a decision. It's not quasi judicial. This is an appeal of a particular decision. No decision has been made yet. This is purely legislative, and the staff brings the planning commission what they bring. The planning commission makes a recommendation to you guys. It's purely legislative. So I don't think the statute was intended in any way to have the old rules triggered for some staff process that then wouldn't matter come January 1st, because that's not what the new House bill requires. I don't read it at all that way.
To not having your training, however, I would say that what I read between the lines of Brian's comments was the suggestion basically that staff was not to even think about this until after the 1st of January. And there was absolutely no ability for them to plan ahead. And the other piece was coming to us in December and saying, is it okay if we go ahead with this? Was not somehow triggering, again, decision-making. It was saying, yeah, go ahead and do some more planning and start the process in January.
Right.
And so that was my read of what was presented and what actually occurred. Don't start anything until after January 1st. I don't think that's what the statute says. Don't do any planning. Don't even think about it. So it's don't start the actual legislative process yet. Thanks. Yeah. You confirmed what I was, yeah.
So any other questions about that we can kind of clear up tonight? Okay, thank you, because that's kind of my understanding as well. And then, again, at the point we say yes, we approve the swap, or no, we don't approve the swap. But at that point, then everything else will go through the regular process, bringing the actual properties in and zoning them, which is changing our comprehensive plan. The legislation specifically said at that point we go through the normal process, which does include our planning commission and our quasi judicial review and all those things. At least that was in my testimony for the bill. So, okay, thanks. I just wanted to kind of clear that up tonight for all of you as you go home and try to read that material to get that, and maybe even at planning tomorrow and so on, that may come up again, and I want to make sure we're all kind of on the same page. All right, other boards and commissions? Yes, Councilor Lopez.
I'll be brief. The Homeless Alliance Board met today, and everything that I've been sharing with you the past couple meetings, you can forget. A lot of whiplash. The federal government has gone and reverted to, after a number of legal challenges, has gone and reverted to the process as established in the original NOFO a year and a half ago. And so renewals have moved forward. We approved those renewals today, and it will move forward within the established process. No one's getting defunded in terms of our service providers, in terms of the work that's going on in the community will continue to go on. It was a heck of a lot of work for a lot of people to come back to the spot that we're at. Couple things to keep in mind, and something that the Homeless Alliance is, tracking very closely in the future, is that despite all that, it's likely to be a future reality of the next competition at the end of this calendar year, toward the end of this calendar year. That generally happens in the fall. And so we likely will be seeing that come through normal process, and some of the programs that offer essential supports for those who are houseless or needing support in our community will likely be under threat. But for right now, you can breathe easy, at least for a little while. And that concludes my report.
All right, thanks. Brief, yep, go ahead.
Quick update, if you've not gone to the Monmouth Recreational Park, the beginnings of bathrooms can be seen. So soon you might actually see a structure. That concludes my report.
I would add that we're also seeing the pavilion rising from the ground as well, and it's fabulous.
That's cool. And maybe as the liaison, you'll get a part in the ribbon cutting, so. Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Good, man.
Oh, well, we'll have to get our own big scissors. We'll call it the dedication or something. And our city manager, Rochelle Anderson, will now give us her report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few things because I know it's late. So the library is sponsoring a Black History Month event on February 12th at 6 p.m. Presented by Oregon Black Pioneers. The presentation will be Early Black Women of the Willamette Valley. The Love Local program for Monmouth has launched. Visit your local participating businesses and make a $5 or more purchase to receive a scratch-off card worth 10 to 20. And the video that was done with Wolfie has, I believe Sarah said, over 5,000 or 10,000 views. Is that 10,000? So that's been fantastic. There will be an accessibility workshop on February 23rd for the local businesses as part of the grant that Suzanne procured. And then Barbara Cronin with the Senior Center will be one of the panelists on that workshop. The Senior Center will sponsor a Black History celebration on February 18th. And the police department has received new taser equipment and new body cams. And so they're currently getting trained on that. And Isaiah was pretty excited about the functionality and the improvement of that. So they're working through that. And that's all I have.
All right. I have here the evaluation signature form for each of you to sign, so don't run out without. You might want to use your own pen, so you don't have to use mine that I've been touching all night. And I will take any last comments or community announcements.
I just would like to, I know you mentioned the Black History Month presentation on February 18th at 6 o'clock at the Senior Center, but it also is talking about the history and tradition of soul food and the women who have supported that. So there'll be free gumbo, so you don't want to miss it. And it's just going to be a really great celebration, evening of abundance.
Yeah, soul food. All right, seeing no other announcements, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, hearing no objections, we have adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your patience.